Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and leaders in District 75, and welcome to this afternoon's training on effective club coaching and individual mentoring. So the training is designed for Division Club Growth Directors, Club Vice President for Membership, and our pool of coaches and mentors in District 75. So my name is DJ and I'm your Toastmaster of the day. Before we're going to start officially our training program this afternoon, I'd like to post a few reminders for everybody. So first, let's keep our videos open. That if our internet connection can handle the video, then it's better. So that even if we're doing this remotely, there's still some sense of being up close and personal. The second is, please keep your Zoom on mute, especially if you're not the speaker. This is to minimize the noise, if not eliminate them completely. Then would also like for those who have not done it yet to really put your role before your name according to this naming convention. And I posted an example on how you would do it. And then lastly, because we're also live, so for those who are watching through Facebook, you can type in your questions, your feedback, and your suggestion on the comment section. And for those of us who are inside the room, we also are leaving the chat box open so that you can also type in your questions. At this point, I'd like us to pause for the invocation and the Toastmasters promise. We praise and honor you, our God. For our failings, we ask for forgiveness and strength to get past them. For all that we have, we thank you. Guide us as we coach and mentor others. May our every engagement inspire them to become better leaders, communicators, and servants. Amen. So fellow Toastmasters, let's raise our right hand for the Toastmasters promise. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition program, and to act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. So once again, good afternoon, friends, and welcome to this afternoon's training session on effective club coaching and individual mentoring. So we're going to have two main talks for the afternoon, one covering the topic specifically for mentoring, and the second talk is about coaching. Then we're going to break out into groups, and we are yet to decide as of this time, depending on the number of participants who will log in today. We're actually expecting 120, and so far there's still half of us who are in the room. So we'll get you the details as soon as we're able to fix the number. But yes, we're going to have case studies, and then we're going to break into groups, and we'll come back to the main room for the presentation. The cool thing about this afternoon is because we're also graced by a panel of experts. So that means that if we have questions, we can also raise them towards the second part of this afternoon's session. The other piece also is we get to process all the cases that we get to separately discuss in groups. So the intention for the afternoon is to get everyone and to give everyone closure. We don't want for you to leave the room with more questions, but rather that you leave the room with insights different and deeper compared to the insights that you bring with you before you attended this session. So that's the objective for this afternoon. And finally, allow us to get to check our pulse on how we are with our Toastmasters mentoring and coaching well-being. So I'm going to run a little bit of a poll. We don't like pa-fall, no? But this afternoon we're going to have a poll. Now we're going to take a pulse check. So let me see. Yes, so it's here. So please, oh, you have already answered them.
We can.
You did. They did? So I will not launch it again, no? Because we might be starting from the very beginning. I would rather share the results then, because we have already.
DJ,
yes?
We can relaunch the poll. This was
okay.
Left behind when we were testing it earlier.
Oh, yes.
12, so we can relaunch the poll. Thank you.
Yeah, so they might think that we fabricated the results, which is not what we want to do. Sige, so fellow Toastmasters and leaders of District 75, I'd like to run again the poll so that we can check our well-being as Toastmasters, mentors, and coaches. So can you already see it? You can. So what am I going to do now? Okay. Yes. Can you see it now? So we have here 5 questions and we want you to answer them so that we would have an idea on our well-being as coaches, as mentors, and also as Toastmasters. So from the way I see it, I'm glad that a lot of us are excited, at least so far. And then I can also see that a lot of us are also tenured Toastmasters, which is what we expect, because this is a training for coaches and also for mentors. Good, so I think we've already gave our answer. So I will now share the results. And this is how we look like this afternoon as far as our coaching, mentoring, and Toastmasters well-being. So I'm glad that majority of us are either excited and optimistic and happy. And for those who are hungry, I feel for you and you have my compassion. And then and I'm glad because a lot of us are also 5 years in Toastmasters. So we are in a better position to learn and also to grow as coaches and mentors. We have a good mix, no? Half of us have not mentored before while the others have. And then majority of us have not performed yet a club coaching role. So this is going to be an interesting ride to a lot of us who wants to grow more and to also learn more in the part of club coaching. And finally, what is your goal in attending this session? Learn more about club coaching, increase knowledge on mentoring, and finally, to connect and network with other Toastmasters, which is always part in every event and every gathering that we are together as leaders, because we're also here not just to learn and to grow as mentors and coaches, but we're also here to build our relationships as leaders and as Toastmasters. So good afternoon once again. I'm glad that our health and our excitement for this afternoon is very positive. And as your Toastmaster of the day, I'll do my best to keep that energy along with our trainers, our panelists, and also our speakers. So this afternoon, I've mentioned that we are going to be talking more and we'll be learning more about club coaching and individual mentoring. Coaching is a relationship that we enter for us to be able to manage the here and now, and then to move the here and now forward towards a better performance. But along with that is also a very important relationship, development relationship that we are engaging with our mentors. Because a mentorship is a relationship between somebody with a vast experience and someone who also wants to learn. And this afternoon, we're going to cover both coaching and mentoring within the space of Toastmasters International. So now let's move to our first speaker for the afternoon. To talk about individual mentoring, I'd like to introduce to you a past international director who also led and inspired District 75, connecting dreamers to ideas and stories. So fellow leaders and fellow Toastmasters, join me in welcoming this year's impromptu speech champion for District 75, distinguished Toastmaster Elisa.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not going to talk about impromptu this afternoon. Or sometimes would take a lot of impromptu skills. Now, how many of you have mentored a member, somebody, maybe outside of Toastmasters? I'm sure we have all in some form or the other mentored somebody. Now, what is mentoring? What is the meaning of mentoring? Mentoring is sharing knowledge, skills, and life experience to guide another towards reaching their full potential. So you are there as a guide, as a coach, as a sounding board, as a cheerleader. You are showing them the way for them to reach their full potential. That is the very essence of mentoring. Now, there are questions as to the difference between mentoring and coaching. Now, let us try to see the difference. Mentoring and coaching. Mentoring is relationship-oriented. Coaching is task-oriented. So let's say you are joining a speech contest, you would like to have a coach. And this is just for a specific task to win the speech contest, or at least make a good presentation during the speech contest. Or you want to cook, you want to bake. So you ask somebody to coach you, to show you how to do it. Now, mentoring goes beyond that. It's a relationship that is established, and it's usually long-term. Short-term for coaching because it's a specific task. It could progress after that specific task. Once you're done with it, once you're done, say, with the speech contest, once you have written your speech, it could go beyond and become a mentoring relationship, especially if you now start to talk about long-term goals. So it takes time for a mentoring process to take place. Mentoring is development driven. Coaching is performance driven. So for mentoring, you are trying to develop the person, help them reach their full potential. In coaching, you are leading the way and showing how they can reach a particular level of performance. Mentoring requires design. Coaching does not require design. You might say, what is design? It's not design that I'm talking here. It's not a drawing. It's a step-by-step procedure or a follow-up or a roadmap in which we could follow. So if you are a mentor, you try to have a roadmap for your mentee. Like for example, I'm sharing with you, this is one of my first oil paintings. I was not able to join the original group who started painting under a teacher. I came in late. I didn't want to go through the step-by-step process. I said, I can do this on my own. So I just watched YouTube. And what happened when I processed this, when I did this, I was able to come up with an end product. So I said, yay, I was able to do something without a mentor or coach. But it took me a while. It took me a long time of staring at the screen at YouTube. If the person on the screen or on the video could complain, they would have already complained because it was start, pause, rewind, start, pause, rewind, start, pause, rewind until I got what I wanted. And then I started listening to the rest who had a mentor, who had a guide, and they were talking about tonal values. They were talking about complementary colors, and they were talking about shadows, and I was looking at them blankly, and I did not know what they were talking about. And it took me so many tries. So if you are a mentor and a mentee, you would like to have a design, a roadmap, because it shortens the learning curve for that particular mentee. So have a design for mentors. Now, easing, so we have the difference between mentoring and coaching. Now, let us try to ease the transition. When we talk of mentors and mentee, we are trying to shorten the learning curve of the mentees. They learn the program, they learn about club standards and customs. You tell them, they don't just stumble into it. You develop confidence in the mentee. You help them so that they participate more and they quickly learn the speaking skills. So you are shortening the learning curve. Mentor-mentee process and a mentor-mentee relationship doesn't mean only something that is done in the club setting. Even in the board of directors of Toastmasters International, we have our mentor. Usually, the second year directors will be paired off with the first year director so that we have a mentor-mentee relationship. The learning curve is shortened in terms of board work, but in terms of knowledge, everybody is starting on equal footing. But we shorten their stumbling blocks in terms of, let's say, how to submit items for the agenda for it to be listed, how can we go about doing our committee work. So you develop quickly a relationship. And sometimes even with our monthly calls between mentor and mentee, we don't even talk anymore about board work, but rather anything that under the sun, we are starting to develop a relationship wherein we can now compare notes, we can have sharing, and we can vent our frustrations out with each other. So when you start later on as a mentor, start developing relationship. It's not something that happens overnight. Oftentimes, we tend to clash or we do not know how or what the mentee wants, and we go in and try to impose something that we think is correct. We had a member, she's a very good friend, but she's a lady who's very passionate about her craft. She's an OFW and she's a makibaka person, somebody that would really like to raise the flag and raise the roof. And when she joined us, her husband, who's an American, said, "Great, you are joining Elisa and Dottie in their Toastmasters Club. So maybe you will learn how to speak like them." So when she joined, after a few meetings, she left. We didn't know the reason. She just kept on saying she was busy. But she confided to somebody and said, I have to leave because Toastmasters might change me. I might now start to speak like Dottie and Elisa, which is not me. So as a mentor, we have to find out how our mentee would like to evolve. What is their goal? So have a members survey, interest survey form that you could have them fill up. Have a heart-to-heart talk. Maybe their goal is something else. Maybe their goal is not for leadership, but they would just like to have the confidence to speak in front of people. Maybe they would like to go for leadership roles because they already speak very well. So then you can point the way for them. Now, why do we have to tap experienced members of the club? Members are resources. Our senior members are resources of the club. When we talk of resources, it's not just books, it's not just money, but these are the people that we have within the club. These are you. These are the officers. These are people who are willing and able to become mentors. Now, why do we tap the senior officers the senior members in our club? We want them to remain productive. We don't want to lose them because they feel that they don't belong anymore. So we want them to feel productive. We want them to remain productive. Let us tap them as mentors. They can learn from their mentees as well, especially when we have those senior members who are in the legacy program and the new ones who are in the pathways. I consider past district governor G as one of my mentors. She is one person who has helped me a lot in terms of leadership. She makes sure that I put on my lipstick when I talk in front of people. So even this afternoon, I have to put on my lipstick even if G is not here, because it's something that was drilled into me by past district governor G. So if we tap her, she can impart knowledge on leadership. She can help you in terms of evaluation. They can help you in terms of speech writing, speech organization, speech delivery. On the other end, the new members can guide the way in terms of, let's say, technology, of using pathways, starting on pathways. Like this past week, during this Zoom season, past district governor G has been sending messages. I want to attend the district speech contest. I said, would you like to watch it on Facebook or would you like to watch it on Zoom? And she said, I want Zoom. So I had to go through it with her and teach her how to get into the contest. She wanted to, when we were talking about registration for the international conventions, she said, how do I register? So then I had to go through it with her. And every morning this past week, she will text me and say, anong meron ngayong araw? What is going on at the convention today? So I have to tell her there are educational sessions, how to get into it. So there is a symbiotic relationship now. And this is not just for something as simple as this. It could be something as forward-looking as developing speeches or leadership going on forward. So do something for others also. As a mentor, you are paying it forward. I have a friend, a Toastmaster, who wanted to leave Toastmasters because she felt she had gotten everything and now she's bored with the process. But I told her, you have gained a lot from Toastmasters. You have gained a lot from Toastmasters. It is now time to pay it forward by mentoring a new member, showing them the ropes, leading the way, telling them how things are done so that the learning curve is flattened. So these are something that we could share while we tap our senior members for mentors. Receive recognition. a lot of questions were asked about mentoring when they asked, why can we not give points for mentoring? But there was one answer that stood out. He said, is it not enough to be able to help somebody? So that's the core value of mentoring, of being able to help somebody become better. Okay. So what are the qualities of a mentor? Let's see if you have them. I'm not saying that you have to have all of this. You have time, you are patient, you are sensitive. Nowadays, I'm a little bit less patient. So my temper is a little bit, how do you call it? I get filled up right away. So I'm less patient. As they say, as Meryl Streep used to say, when you reach our age, you have the license to be impatient. So we are sensitive. Are you sensitive? Because sensitive, we have to be able to feel the frustrations of the mentee. We should be able to feel the confusion, the struggle that they're going through. We have to be respectful as well. We have to be flexible. A mentor will have to be supportive. A mentor will have to be knowledgeable. If you do not know the answer, help them research it or ask somebody to help. A mentor should be confident. A mentor should be a good listener. If you have watched the Golden Gavel awardee, he gave a great talk on listening. So if you have not watched it, go and watch it after this session. Have a concern for others. So first, I think first and foremost really would be availability of time, because you would not be able to do any of these things unless you have the time to interact with your mentor, because mentee, because it will not be a one-time thing. If you want it to be a one-time thing, be a coach. Now, this is what I was talking about, the design. Do something like this in the club. The first meeting, the next meeting, and onwards. Design a program within your club for mentors, those that will mentor the individual members. Because then we have a structured pattern that we can all follow. Each club can adjust this to something that will suit them. Okay? So for the first meeting, sit down with the new member. Orient them to club customs and procedure. Maybe in our club, you could say in our club, you get to be Toastmaster of the day only when you have reached a certain speech project level. Or in some cases, you don't get to evaluate. So tell them the procedure, because they might say, I can do that. But it's a custom, it's a pattern that we'd like to follow. So explain how to sign up for pathways. If let's say you are one who is not very adept, a mentor who is not very adept with how to sign up with pathways, you as a mentor can tap somebody else. You can call in a third person and ask that person to help. Because the new member will not know who to approach. A new member will not know who to approach. They might be too embarrassed to ask for help. So you as the mentor can create a bridge between the people that could help and the mentee. Help them with their icebreaker. As a mentor, do not wait for your mentee to approach you and say, I'm ready for my icebreaker. Offer your help. Maybe give them a timetable. Help out with ideas. Share ideas on how they can do icebreakers. Do not give a statement at the end of the year, they did not call me. Rather, the mentor should also be extending the hand of help, of assistance to the mentee. Pressure them. As some would say, a mentor sometimes is also a tormentor. Now, after those first few meetings, you continue to help your mentee. In the next meeting, show them where the resources are located. Show them how to log in to Toastmasters International. Point out the members in the club that could help them. When I first joined Toastmasters, I did a lot of observing, and eventually those that invited me into the club pointed out persons that I could approach. If you want help with your speech, maybe you'd like to check if your grammar is correct, go to that Toastmaster. He will be able to help you with your grammar for your speech. If you'd like a wider vocabulary, listen to that Toastmaster. If you'd like to learn how to bring up your emotion, bring out your emotion when you deliver your speech, observe that particular Toastmaster. Those are resources in your club. Do not forget the human resources in your club. Then provide positive feedback. When they are tasked to do something, give them feedback. If they reacted in table topics after the meeting, give them a short feedback. Give them positive inputs. How did they do? Then you explain responsibilities. Let's say, explain to them that if they are assigned a role in the program, that they should not cancel at the last minute because it gives additional headaches to the Vice President for Education. So explain responsibilities because we have privileges and we have responsibilities within the club. Help them with speeches and other assignments. Do not just, if they're tasked to be timer, do not just tell, oh, you know how to use the stopwatch? Great, so go with it. You have to tell them the specifics, share with them, help them, guide them through it. Then over time, you can now start sharing your own stories about how you grew with Toastmasters, how you benefited from being a member of Toastmasters. Become a role model. Your stories will be inspirational for your mentees. Invite mentees to other events. If you have a joint meeting, invite your mentee to go with you. Then from there, you can start sharing about, you see, it is not just one club here. We have other clubs within the vicinity in our city. Then you can start giving tidbits of information about several clubs forming an area. So don't overwhelm them at the first meeting about Toastmasters International is an international organization. We are part of an area division district, then they will not care about that at that point. So layer on the information as you progress. Third, acknowledge progress. Tell them you are getting better at reacting to table topics. You are getting better as a role taker. Then start explaining officers' duties. Open their eyes to possibilities of them stepping up for leadership position. Explain speech contests. What are speech contests? Who joins speech contests? Describe the organization. So this happens over time. Don't stuff it down their necks at the first meeting. This will be just like cooking when you layer on the flavors. You start by sauteing the onions, and then you add the garlic, and then maybe the ginger could come in like at the end to highlight the taste, but you layer on. So you layer on also the information that you get in Toastmasters. Gradually, they will be able to grasp all this information and start appreciating the organization. So the relationship between mentor and mentee is something that will be of a relationship that will be long term. If you look at materials in Toastmasters, they say it's time bound. Time bound in the sense that after a while, the the line between mentor and mentee is no longer visible, because after a while, the mentor could also be learning from the mentee. Open your eyes also, because our mentees will be able to share something with us as well. So when you reach that point, the relationship now is cemented because of that bond. So it will not happen overnight. Relationship will not happen overnight. I was listening to an interview the other day, last night. This was done by a past RA, and he was interviewing then International President Mike Storky. And Mike Storky was talking about his passion for mentoring, because he said, I will not be here in my position if I did not have mentors along the way. And he said, in his leadership journey, he had 5 or 6 mentors guiding him along the way. We could all get to a certain point in life without mentors, but we will have to go through the potholes, we will have to go through all the mistakes, we will have to stumble every now and then. If we have mentors, they will create a better path. They will flatten the curve of learning. So let us work on this as a club. Let us work on this, because we would like to retain our members. We would like to ensure that they stay on. During the trio training, I was listening to a club growth director who is from Nepal. And he said they have 1,000 mentors in Nepal that is working and helping members, and their retention rate is around 95%. And that is a rate that we would like to achieve, because we would like to ensure that Toastmasters, when they come in, will stay on with the program, will stay on in our club. If they cannot attend our meetings because of some other issues, a lot would be because it's in conflict with our prayer meeting, it's in conflict with my other organizations. Recommend them to attend other meetings. Share information about where they can join Toastmasters. Let us not lose those members. That is our task as mentors. Let us focus our energy on that, work on it, and make sure that at the end of the year, our percentage retention would be so high that we would have so many members in our club, all performing at top level. And at the end of the year, all of them clamoring also for that opportunity to mentor another member. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thank you, past International Director Elisa, for reminding us among the many about the importance of mentoring in terms of membership retention, because Toastmasters stay either because they are being mentored, or Toastmasters stay because they are mentors. So it's more than just a mutual understanding, no? More than an MU. It's long term. No? It's a mutual relationship between a mentee and a mentor. So now moving on to the next part of our training, which is from mentoring, we move into coaching. And to speak about effective club coaching is someone who is also known as the Google of District 75. So she's a Toastmaster for over 25 years, a past District 75 governor who led the district in achieving President's Distinguished District in 2014. So friends, a virtual applause, please, to distinguished Toastmaster Katrina Letargo.
Hello, thank you, DJ. So, good day, everyone. This will be a short presentation on the concept of being a club coach. So, I will just explain briefly the concept, and you will have a chance to do some case studies, after which the teams will be reporting their discussions to the group. Please enable your chat box because I might ask the participants to type some of your responses. So, next slide, please. Yan. So the objectives of this particular training would be first to know the club coach qualifications, discover why a club coach is needed, and how to be an effective club coach. Before I proceed, let me first ask you, based on what you recall from the discussion of PID Elisa. Next slide, please. What is the difference between a mentor and a coach? Please type in your thoughts in the chat box. I'll give you a few seconds. So let's see from what you recall. Okay. All right. Okay. So good job, everyone. More thoughts? Okay. Keywords. Yeah. Good job. All right. So thank you. You go ahead, just write your thoughts, even in your own words. There you go. Yes. So one is really about relationships, one is like short term, it's all about tasks. So if I can make an analogy about this one. Okay? So next slide, please. Yeah. If we will think of a mentor, we would think of a mentor who is a person that shares his or her knowledge and expertise with one or more people with experience. So similarly, mentoring in Toastmasters, okay, or mentors are like advisors. While if we will think of a coach as a doctor, when people are ill, they used to make an appointment to see the doctor. The doctor's job is to diagnose the problem and present the patient with options for treatment. It's the patient who selects the treatment that he or she believes is best for him or her. The doctor provides the tools needed for the treatment, but the patient is the one responsible for following through with the treatment plan. So a club coach is very much similar, okay, to being a doctor because a club coach is assigned when we see a club that is, so to speak, sick or not in prime health. Okay. So next slide, please. Yeah. So what are the tasks of a club coach? Okay. First, to build rapport with the club leaders and members. So it is the club coach duty to visit the club and see for himself or herself, how is this club doing? Next bullet would be to observe and analyze the club environment. Every club, they have their own dynamics. Okay? Then after looking at the environment, assist the club in generating solutions to help the club. Third bullet talks about helping the club develop a plan with goals for improvement. This is where the moments of truth comes into play. Next bullet would be to enable the club to achieve the goals. Okay? Every club, remember in COT1, we have asked the club officers to create their club distinguished club program and club success plan. Okay? And with that, the last bullet would instill, of course, help the club by instilling enthusiasm. Sometimes we just need someone to help the club, revitalize or re-energize the club. And of course, have that sense of responsibility to help the club's future. It is very important for a club coach to help revive the club. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. The qualification for a club coach primarily is a Toastmaster member who is in good standing as well, who is not a member of the struggling club. Okay? Because this outside perspective allows the club coach to view the club objectively. Now, it is the district director or the club growth director who may appoint up to 2 coaches for each club. Okay? Now, the club has to have more or less, okay, not more than 12 members at the time of appointment. Now, as a club coach, it is also your duty to keep the area director, the club growth director, and district director regularly apprised of your progress. So aside from working with the club, let these directors know what's the progress. Remember, the area director also has a key role in the growth of the club. So normally, since you're not allowed yet to be a member of the club, during the time of appointment, you may join eventually the club, okay, afterwards. Now, there are instances wherein you might ask, but it's a corporate club. So it really depends on the bylaws of that particular corporate club. So there was a time years and years ago where Silver and White Toastmasters Club, a club that is a corporate club under Accenture, they placed my name in their company bylaws as, how do you call it, an honorary member of the club, because I used to mentor and coach the club as well. Okay, so it can be when it is in the bylaws of that particular corporate club. Okay, now you might think, next slide please, why are some clubs very active and productive while some seem to be struggling or thriving? So there are many causes. So please write on the chat box, why do you think some clubs are active or some are struggling? What could be the reason why some clubs are struggling right now? And what are the struggles? No goals, club culture, time schedule, time, okay. No plans, all right. Leadership, club quality, change of environment. Especially prior to the pandemic, sometimes the club's location is a problem because of accessibility or there's no parking. Okay. So it happened in one of my clubs as well. It's a 41-year-old club. We used to transfer venues. There was a time we got a free venue, but it takes a lot of the members and even our guests an additional hour to go to that venue, but it's free. So we decided to move to another venue which is more accessible, wherein there's MRT train. You can go there by bus. If you bring your car, there's very good parking space. And of course, we have a venue wherein we get free Wi-Fi as well. When we changed the venue, then more members joined the club. So yes, it is a possibility. Meeting schedule. Again, there were times where people would really have this as a consideration, especially the time of day. When you're working from, let's say, 9 to 5, and then you have to club meeting, and then you have to go to the meeting with traffic in Metro Manila and in other cities as well. You can't make it on time. And then when you attend the meeting would also end by 12 midnight. So people wouldn't like that as well. Club culture plays a major role as well. Okay? Because when not a new member, but when a prospective member attends a meeting, they would gauge if they like the people, they like the ambience, and they would like the quality of the club. We had one guest join or attend our club meeting. So this guest liked the quality of evaluation of our club. And then I told the person, why don't you also attend other clubs? She attended, since it's online, she attended a club in Japan. And then comparing, she said, our club, oh, this is Molave Toastmasters Club, and the one in Japan, she said that she likes our club better. And then she attended another Toastmasters club in the Philippines, okay, somewhere in Metro Manila. And then again, it's another club culture. And then when she ranked the three, she still said, when it comes to learning, this is my top choice. And then the one in Japan, and then the third in the other club. So again, club ambience would be a factor. So to be an effective club coach, next slide, please. You have to factor in and consider, first and foremost, okay, knowing the club more. How do you do that? You have to make the club connection, which means when you visit the club, you have to get to know the members and the officers of the club. Find out, okay, so that it would be easier for you to coach this club. Next would be to conduct a status check of the club. What does it mean? We always promote conducting the moments of truth for clubs because this is the only way you get to see and assess how the club is. And then based on that, you look at the gap and address the gap. Other than that, you also need to understand the dynamics of the club and the club culture. Sometimes some club coaches, they tend to implement their own style to the club. Okay? And but that is not the culture or the dynamics of the people in that club. Okay? So you have to help the people in that particular club and let them work for themselves, guide them based on what they want to achieve. Okay? The third bullet that I would like to share with you is to help the club have quality meetings. What is a quality meeting for you? Okay? For some, it's really about, mentoring and making the members deliver very good speeches. For some, it's about evaluation. For some, it's about starting and ending the meeting, okay, on time. So based on the moments of truth, the club would be able to gauge what is a quality meeting for them as well, from start to end, from the logistics, everything, okay, that will make the club run a smooth meeting. The next bullet, foster a membership building and membership retention culture. Again, it depends on the club, how they build their membership. We have vice presidents for membership. Okay? Every year, when club plans for the year, there's also a membership plan that, of course, the VP membership does. There's the education plan that the vice president for education does for their quality meetings. So it depends. How do they want to do their membership building campaign? What platforms do they want to use? Is it just through Facebook? Do they have a website? Okay. Do they have also their club having presence in LinkedIn? And then for the internal members, how do they promote membership building among the members? I think I shared before that in one of my clubs, we give away, I think I gave away Starbucks GCs for every member who would, for members that invite non-Toastmasters, we give away Toastmaster magazines. And then for every member who signs up, automatically I used to give the Starbucks gift certificate. So again, it depends on the club. And then in terms of retention, do you award also your members who are, the one who is always present, the best in attendance? What is your membership retention? Do they get, a discount in terms of club juice, or do they get an award for paying on time? And the next slide would be recognizing the achievements of the club. Toastmasters International provides several awards. We have the Smedley Award, we have the Founders Award, and then we have the Beat the Clock Award. So there are so many awards given by Toastmasters International. Within the club, do you also recognize the achievement of the members? Especially for those who've been an active member of the club for the past, what, 5 years, 10 years? Do you have like a loyalty program for your members? The next bullet talks about now helping the members have a vision for the future through the club success plan and the distinguished club program. So as a club coach, you help the club complete these two items and how they plan to achieve the distinguished club program for the year. Sometimes some clubs are not aware that they are able to get rewarded by just completing some of the goals presented because nobody is, helping them strategize to achieve it. Now, if you are assigned or appointed as a club coach to get or earn the DTM credit, the coach club must achieve at least distinguish or better. So distinguished club, select distinguished club, or president's distinguished club. Okay. So again, as mentioned, as club coach, it's more task oriented. Okay. In due time, aside from being a coach, a lot of club coaches become members of the club that they've been appointed to. They rebuild that relationship, and soon after, they tend to become mentors of the club as well. So there are a lot of resources available for us in Toastmasters International. Okay? So we have a whole set of materials that's made available for us. I'm just required to speak for 15 minutes, but if you want to really do a deep dive of, club coaching and even club mentoring, feel free to get in touch with, let's say, Elisa or myself or your club coaches or club mentors. So again, it's task-based. You have a goal set to help the club. And at the same time, there are materials to help the club achieve the goal. Tools that will help the club build their membership, okay? And help the club become an active club and not in the ICU anymore. Okay. So with that, I think we will not do the Q&A next slide, but for the next slide, I think we're ready for the case studies.
Yes.
DJ, or are we opening it
Yes.
for Q&A or the Q&A for later?
We can reserve the Q&A for later during the panel discussion.
All right. So with that next slide, then. So Q&A, and then we're open up for the case studies. So there are 3 case studies that would be assigned. I think for the breakout rooms, who would be assigning it? Is it Joy?
It's me, Joy.
Yeah. What we will do is I'll do a screen share for
Okay.
the mechanics, no? So yes, as what JJ mentioned, we're going to have a breakout and a discussion. So we changed the number of groups this time from 12 groups to 10 groups. And then as what JJ mentioned, we will be working on 3 cases. And it will be for 25 minutes. No? So facilitators are assigned per team. So you don't have to worry about the further guidelines that you need to observe. And then there's only one group who gets to present a case. But because we don't have an idea on which group who will present later, then would still encourage everybody to participate and to stay engaged. Because the main purpose why we're having a breakout session is for us to be able to work as one team and also to learn as one team, given what we've learned from JJ and also from PID Elisa. So this is a good opportunity for us to put them into practice. So now I think Joy, we're already prepared for the breakout rooms.
Okay, can you give me 1 minute? I'm just trying to check that
Oh,
all rooms have an assigned facilitator.
cool. So what will
I
happen is, okay,
go ahead, DJ.
yes.
I
So
will,
I think JJ, we can proceed because do you have your Kahoots with you?
yes, I was asking just if we can play the Kahoots. I want to play the
Yeah, we
Kahoots now.
can. While Joy is preparing the room for
Yes.
us. Good.
I was also, while Jess is preparing the Kahoots game, I was looking at some of the items mentioned by our members about club quality not being maintained. Now, this is very challenging when you have controlling senior members overpowering the execom and the new members. It is really a challenge, especially if you have clubs that are like more than 10 years old. Okay? And you have members that are more than 10 years old as well. It is also, this is something that I would like to share with everyone. Even if you are already a senior member, it would also help to be a mentee, meaning to also learn from the new members. But it is something, again, that can happen in a club climate or club culture. Because, again, with our core values, respect should primarily be practiced by all clubs. Okay, so I think our Kahoots game is ready. Oh, how do we do
Yes.
this?
This one
Can
is
you
like
see my screen?
Kahoots, no?
Yeah. So if from your phone, either you download the Kahoot app or go to a web browser and type www.kahoot.it. The top three players or the top three participants will get cash prizes. So there are stake involved. So do your best. Game pin is 5950991. So for those who are not familiar with Kahoot, we will be showing questions with multiple choices, 4 choices or options. And then you get to choose the best option indicated by a shape. It could be a circle, a diamond, square. Sorry, I can't recall the last one, but there are 4 choices. And this is time bound. Okay, we have 23, 24. So we'll give like 2 minutes more for others to join. Okay.
This is going to be fun. Let's see how much you can recall from the discussions
So let's
earlier.
see how much you have understood the learnings from or the insights from GovJJ's talk.
What's the cash prize? Am I included in the cash prize?
So
I
it's
thought
you have
it's a
a choice if it's a gift certificate from gifted.ph or a cash prize. So the
How
cash
much?
prize is 1,000 for the first prize and 800 for the second prize, 500
Wow.
for the third
That's a
place.
lot.
Sali ko.
The speaker is not qualified,
Katrina's
About
not
the
first.
eligible
Toastmasters.
to
Kasama si
participate.
Wala
Katrina.
lang. Ano
JJ,
ko, panggulo lang.
ikaw
Panggulo.
ang first
So,
prize.
Okay.
so we can raffle it off. Para kawawa naman yung ano eh. So we give chances sa ano, I can make it. And if I win, di pa raffle natin.
We have 43, last 10 seconds, and then we'll start.
We're just waiting.
Excited si Tisha o pang date niya after the ano.
Si Nomel na bahala doon. Kaya-kaya na ni Nomel. Okay, let's start. Can you hear the music, the background music?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll start. I hope your internet is working well because it's this time bound. Okay, effective club coaching quiz 2-1. Who appoints the club coach? Is it the club president, the area director, division director, or the district director?
Wait.
Okay. The answer is the district director or the club growth director. I hope you got it right. We have 7 who got it right. Next one. Wow, congratulations, Res, for being the top one for the first question. Next, how many members must a club have in order for it to have a club coach assigned to them? So this is multiple choice. You hint 2 options here that are correct. Okay. So from the talk of Gov JJ, it's 12 and below. So 9 members and 12 members are correct. Moving on. Wow. Gov JJ, you're not eligible to join. Okay? Ang kulit lang.
Paparaffle ko yan. Ano be?
Okay, so we still have Toastmaster Rez as the top winner. Third question, a club coach task is similar to which job or profession? Lawyer, accountant, doctor, or engineer? Okay, wow, a lot got it right. Doctor. So who is our top winner? It's still Rez. Next. Second to the last question, who is informed of your progress as club coach? So there are a number of club officers or district officers who are informed. The answer is the last one, area director, club growth director, and district director. We have Malu as our top winner. So later on, I'll be connecting with you on the details. But we have to watch out for the last question, which is to earn credit as club coach for the DTM path, what recognition must the coach club receive? Distinguished Smedley Founders Phoenix Award. The answer is at least Distinguished Club Award. There.
Yay!
Yay! So our top winners.
Me! No, let's raffle it off. Kawawa yung ibang contestants, participants.
So how do you intend to raffle it off? I only have
May
the top 3 winners here.
Hold on. Si Joy, di ba you have that spin a win something? I don't know if you can do it.
Just give it to Res.
So congratulations, Rez and Malu,
Grabe.
for being our winners.
Yay!
And Gov JJ. Let's give them a warm round of applause. Please.
Mamaya, magpa-spin a win tayo.
Okay, so I think we're ready for the case study. Thank you everyone for participating.
So congratulations, Rez and Malu, and of course, Gov JJ. So now we got a confirmation from our tech team that the breakout rooms are already ready. So Joy, you can already take us to our respective room assignments. And for everybody in the group, see you 25 minutes later. Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wow, we have Nico in the room.
Hi.
Hello. Sige, so we have 25 minutes. But before we go into a discussion, I'd like us, if possible, if our connectivity would allow it, for us to show our faces. If our connectivity will allow. Sige, so while waiting for the others, so this is going to be a 25-minute case that we are going to work. So that's our time limitation. So while waiting for the others, we might as well want to introduce ourselves. So yes, my name is DJ. So I'm from Division C. I'm from Queen City Toastmasters Club.
Hi,
Maybe
I'm Luisa. I just introduced myself.
Lisa.
All right.
Yes. Hello, Luisa.
I'm from TOPS Toastmasters in Makati, and I'm the VP for membership.
Hello, Luisa. Welcome. And then maybe Mercy, I assume that's your nickname. You can introduce yourself next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mercy Mecos from Synergy Toastmasters Club. I'm from Division G. Nice to meet you guys.
Yes, hello, Mercy. Welcome. And then maybe how is this pronounced? Is it Jaline?
Hi, yes, I'm Jalin, and I'm from Malaysia. Yeah,
Oh.
Malaysia, Standard Chartered GBS Toastmaster Club. Yes. So good to see you all here. Thank you.
Welcome. And then Raymond, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Raymond Vidal. Just call me RB for short. I'm from Analog Devices, Adfields Toastmaster Club in General Trias, Cavite, and I'm the Vice President for Education. Hi.
Hello, Raymond. And then we also have Ida, no? So I would assume that everybody who is in video, so we are the ones who are present in the discussion. So the case that we will be discussing is an interesting one. So it's case number 2. And then I'll share my screen so that you can view it. So I'll read the case, or we will read it together, and then we will take the discussion from there. No? But before I'll proceed, is there anybody who would volunteer to be the group's presenter, just in case our group is going to be identified later? Because there will only be one presenter per case, but we do not know who gets called. So who will volunteer? Maybe we will appoint the closest resemblance to me, so that would be Raymond.
No problem, DJ. I can do it.
Sige, ha? Sige, let's do this, Raymond.
Okay.
Sige. So this is now the case, no? So it's a case specific to club coaching. So this was the talk of Gov JJ earlier. And it says that North Pole City Toastmasters Club is a community club based in the Philippines. A number of existing clubs in the city were once sponsored and mentored by its members. So it's an old club. But through the years, membership is dwindling. The profile is changing too. Last year, only 8 renewed their membership. All of them live in South Pole City. They are young professionals and are not earning much. Because of the meeting expenses, largely because of the venue and food, they need to shell out every meeting. And because of that, members are begging off when asked to take on roles. Currently, it's just the club president and vice president for education who are regularly showing up. So it's just the 2 of them who are regularly present. And they are on the verge of giving up. They think it's more practical for them to just join South Pole City Toastmasters Club. So as a division club growth director or as area director, based on what we learned earlier from JJ's presentation, how are we going to move this club forward? And if you happen to be the club coach, how will you turn this around?
It's like a case of a wrong demography, right? They are at North Pole City, then they live in the South Pole. That's how it appears.
Yes. So yes, this is a neighbor. It looks like they are neighboring cities, and their members belong to the other city. they live in the other city compared instead of where the club is, and they're having trouble also membership in terms of managing expenses. That's why they don't like to be present on the meetings anymore. No, it's just the club president and the vice president for education who are committed and who are regularly showing up. And now the case is telling us that the president and the vice president would want to give up and would rather be a member of another Toastmasters club in South Pole City where they live. Sige, so who will go first in sharing his or her?
Yes, DJ. Can I try first?
Yes, Raymond.
Perhaps as a division club group director or area director, there should be a coach assigned to them and who will help them grow as a member, as a club. And then location-wise, perhaps, although the VP for membership was mentioned here, I think they should look for members who are residing on the same location, the same demography or place they are. So that it somehow could ensure the membership based on residency. And as a club coach, I think there should be a lot of inspiration that should be drawn from this group first because of funding issues, I guess. And then I think it takes only a little bit of inspiration. Money shouldn't be a problem. It can be somehow sourced out, or there should be a way that they could find funding, perhaps. That's my take on that.
Yeah. So it's okay. So if I captured them correctly, you've addressed the location and also the funding, no?
Yes.
How about Luisa? And by the way, Raymond, I leave it to you to just note them down so that if ever you can also are able to present later.
Yes, DJ. I'm writing down.
Thank you, Raymond.
Hi, for me, I believe maybe the location, maybe they can look for a cheaper location in that area. I guess the cost should be first lowered so that it would not be a hindrance for the members. So I believe making it solving that issue would really help the club move forward. So that's one of the things that I want to point out. And then maybe as a club coach, the club coach gives a more broad perspective. So I guess for a club coach, you need to talk to the members of what their plans are as a group, as a club. So my take is not only about the membership, but also on the club experience. So if the members are still interested to pursue with this club at the North Pole, maybe the club, as a club coach, I can help them with the membership, with the meeting. But if they really don't want to pursue it, then maybe the club president and the club, I can just talk to the club president and vice president education on how they can move forward with that. If they can have a choice of maintaining that location and just pushing on for the membership building activities. So we'll have more members incoming. So we'll be able to maintain the club because at this point they have 8 members, but in actual it's only 2. So membership drive campaigns, and also we'll have to ask for other clubs for help with regards to meetings, because for now they have no members attending. So maybe the other clubs in the nearby in a nearby area can help out. So that's my take on the case study. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa. So Raymond, do you have any clarification?
I took down to the plans, club experience, membership, life campaigns, occasion, the same things, occasion also.
Okay, sige. Thank you, Luisa. How about Mercy?
I could relate to this club because we had this experience where my
Mercy, we
officer.
can't hear you well.
Okay.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, better. A lot better. Thank you, Mercy.
Oh, okay. So as I was saying, I can relate to this club because we had a previous experience with that, and wherein me and my officer, we were just exchanging roles for several years, and we were having dwindling problems. And we also had this problem with membership and the venue. So what we did as a club was we were able to find a venue that is not only cheap, but it is free. So I may encourage, as a club coach, I could encourage the officers not to give up and find a venue that could, I would agree with Luisa also, that would give them a free or a cheaper cost for rent. And the second thing is actually the food is not an essential part of the meeting. So if they want to have food, maybe they could have potluck or something. So as not to distract them from the real purpose of going to the meeting. So that is my second option. So if that's their problem, then it's their choice to be not to eat or to eat after the meeting. I have a third. My third suggestion here is actually if they have a problem with membership that is dwindling, they could now go through the social media. That is why our club has a website, and not only that, we also have a YouTube channel which we are trying to maintain, and I believe it's working also for our good. And during these past days, our membership really has grown. We just had a new member, and we are encouraging him now to have some roles. So one of that would be to have the role not for the members to maybe not to force them, maybe not to force them, but actually to see if they want it. So the case there said that they try to beg off. So why not the club role as a club coach? Maybe what if we would say give them an award at the end, maybe best counter or best evaluator, best table topic speaker, something like that, just as to encourage them. And what we did in our club before for the new members is to give them a certificate of recognition being a new member of the club. So I think that would be for those are my points of view. And one last thing, if they're also having problem with membership payment, why don't we have a payment scheme wherein per meeting we would pay this certain amount, or so that at the end of the let's say at September 30, we won't be having this trouble paying this much amount already. So why don't we have that installment or payment scheme? That would help our members.
What I got from their DJ was looking for a free venue, such as potluck for food, because food is not really the main point of Toastmasters meeting.
We can't also hear you well, Raymond. Yeah, I think that's better.
Social media channel promote the club more on YouTube or Facebook, can we add? And then not to force the members to take roles, but rather encourage them based on their free will. Awards, grant certificate of recognitions. I can relate to the awards because we're doing this on best speakers every week. And then what I was most struck by the payment scheme. That's something that perhaps is gonna be new. Yeah, that could be encouraged to some members to be able to pay.
Sige, Raymond. Thank you for at least kanang taking down the points that Luisa and Bercy have shared, and by adding them to also what you have gathered as our speaker eventually in the group presentation. But Jeline, I don't like to put you on the spot, but I'm actually curious about your input specific to the two, the club president and the vice president for education, because the case also mentioned that they are on the verge of just giving up. And they would rather just be part of another club. So perhaps as a club coach, how would you turn this situation around?
I think both of them they wanting to giving up is because of less of membership, and then they feel like the club is dying. So they are getting demotivated. So how are we going to motivate them? So what I can think of is like make them do something to get them motivated. Something like something like a speechcraft or something like that make them to involve try to let other people from non-members to join the club again, and to join the speechcraft and see that whether is it because I believe that if the team is getting bigger, everyone will getting encouraged to each other. So this is how the motivation and also the peer motivating it going to work. Yeah, so this is my idea.
Yeah, so I think it's a good point because of momentum. No? Everybody would tend to want to be part of something that's growing. So that's why you suggested Speechcraft and other activities to grow membership. Sige, Raymond, do you think? Thank you, Jaline. Raymond, do you have anything to clarify? We actually have 5 minutes left.
Salamat Tatang Jillian for that peer motivation and members speechcraft. And just to add, DJ, I guess it's all in the leaders, the president, to really encourage members to participate more, and motivational words, inspiration. You really have to draw these things out from the members, and also the finance, of course. That's it, DJ.
Sige, so we still have a few more minutes left. I'm just curious because Mercy earlier suggested about free venue, and you also mentioned that you personally went through this similar situation in your club. What are the types of venue that at least in the Philippines, that's for free, no? Maybe there are certain suggestions that you can also make to the group.
Actually, we had this free venue at STI, where one of my colleagues work. So we were able to talk to the administrator, gave the letter, and then she agreed to it. And one more thing is, it's also a venue to attract new members, and because the school also is training a lot of students. So that means a lot of students usually visit our club. And that is why the administrator agreed for a free training. And with the food, sometimes we have this free coffee, and then we just give out some food. And I think that's just enough for the members. And they really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point. No,
also, yes.
continue. Yeah.
And the one thing is, if they know someone who owns, let's say, a cafe or a restaurant, maybe they could talk to the manager or and make a deal, an ex deal maybe, so that they can also have this free venue. Just like one club at we have it at McDonald's. One of our members who you owns the franchise, and that is why that club usually has free goes there for free. The catch is they would order food, so that's an ex deal. So they get a free venue, and then the members would order food, and not everybody is forced to order. So those who would like to order, that's it lang.
Thank you, Mercy. So Raymond,
Yeah, just to
we
add there on that restaurant thing, I attended the Dasmariñas Toastmaster Club. They're being housed normally their meetings in a cafe in Dasmariñas town proper. And what I noticed is it creates publicity for the restaurant. So that is already a good thing for the restaurant to be publicized.
publicity, which is still a mutual relationship. No, I think that's also what you are connecting with what Mercy said. So Raymond, are there any points that you wish to clarify to Jaline, to Mercy, to Louisa, before we close this one, because we only have about a minute more to go?
I think these notes I've taken already enough and full already if we are given the chance to update. So these are okay. I wrote down some simple words here already.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Raymond, and thank you, Jaline, Louisa, and Mercy. And I just got a notification that Nico is with the tech team, so that's why he's not able to participate. So Ida, hopefully we get to fix also your internet connection if ever just that's the issue. So thank you very much for everybody's participation. And then in about 20 seconds, we're going back to the main room. So Raymond, you will be presenting in behalf of the group in case we're going to be cold.
Sure.
And then just be prepared because it's about 5 to 7 minutes. Then the rest
Sure.
of the guidelines I will share back when we're back at the main room. So thank you.
Thank you.
And see you later.
Sure.
Q&A.
I'm back.
Yes, sige, because so my suggestion is we will still proceed with the presentation, and then after we do the presentation, then we will be Q&A until Salma. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Until 3:25. Will that work still?
Yeah. I want to give more time for them to ask the questions
Yes.
and have their nagging, items
Correct.
answered.
Correct. No, because that's also that's what we also want to address.
Mhm.
Hopefully, because most likely the cases have also triggered some questions that they wish to clarify. Sige, for now, this is what we're going to do. And then thank you for everybody's patience because we're skipping the break and we're moving ahead to each of the presentation. So I'll show you the mechanics of how the presentation will go. Okay, so now we're moving towards the group presentation. So the presentation will just be for 5 to 7 minutes. And I will be playing a song in case you're over time. So that's an indicator that you need to already wrap up or stop the presentation. And then for each of the group that are presenting, please state the case quickly and also the solution that your group are suggesting. And then, yes, as mentioned, let's spark our questions and comments because the panel discussion will immediately follow. And we will do our best that we're going to address the questions and the comments that you have during the presentation earlier or during the time in which you were on your breakout groups and discussing each of the case. So is it cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
So now we made a random choice, and you can tell that I have a chart for this. So that's how random we did it. So our first presenter is going to be the team of Philip for case number 1. A case that's specific to club coaching, but this time in a space of a corporate club. So Philip.
Thank you, Toastmaster DJ. For our group, we have randomly selected as well someone from the participants who will be presenting. And let me give the control of the virtual floor to Toastmaster Jan. Toastmaster Jan, are you ready for the presentation?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I would just like to share my screen, if I may.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jan.
Yes, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, this is impromptu presenting now. Good luck to me. All right. So I also have my timer here. So I have 5 minutes. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm President Jan Gianan from Claro Toastmasters Club, Area 4. So our case study here is at the start of the new term, the 10-year-old Pacific Air Toastmasters Club struggles to revive their club. It has 10 members on paper, but only 8 are actually attending meetings. With low attendance and changing priorities due to the pandemic, the HR department informed the club officers that they will potentially cancel club sponsorship. So the question to our group was, as club growth director, area director, and club coach, how can you turn around the situation? And for us, in our club, it's actually timely as well. This is a true to life experience because our HR department warned us that if we don't really have that high number of members, they would potentially cancel our sponsorship. And then COVID-19 pandemic happened. So what happened? We transitioned into the Zoom era or the open online meetings where you can club hop and you can do your meetings online via schedule. So was our the brainstorming session that we had? These were the points that we made. So the first point was, as a director or club coach, conduct interview for each member to know the struggles of each of the members. And they specifically pointed that of the 2 members that are not attending, we can have a sit down, one-on-one talk with them so that they can see if they are having troubles with their schedule or are they not tech savvy, are they having difficulty accessing Zoom. And this is in connection to the second point, which is for the virtual setting, orientation on how to do Zoom meetings, especially for the old non-techie members. I understand some Toastmasters clubs are 10 years old or above 10 years old, and there are senior members that they had to have orientation. In our club, Claro, we actually had that orientation as well, even for those young members, because we really would want to set into the new normal. So the third point is promote to let members and prospective members know the benefits the club offers. And what we did, and for our case study, which was the 10-year club, I also would like to add that we can also present the achievements of the 10 years the club has existed so that the new members or the old members would still be proud that they are members of that said club. Another point was we can tie it up with the HR department, with the LND department, so that it will be part of their performance appraisal. So yearly, they would know, the members, that, once I join this club, I have this performance review of me, that I am also honing my skills, my communication skills. The next point is tell HR department to recognize the employee who give the extra time to invest in their personal development. So the members would see in a system that the HR department can also fix, that this certain member is doing overtime investment in their development. And in our club, the next point, second to the last, we had an orientation for the new members. Members, we teachers would love to hear the word certificate. So certificate of completion. For this, I mentioned to them as the president that when you attend our club by the end of the year, you would have this certain certificate of recognition and you can add this to your resume. So our proposals, and this is just, I also explained this on my point earlier, the two other members should have one-to-one. And yes, the second point I can relate, encourage club hops. Earlier, I club hop to South Korea with the two of our members. And then they really had a great time. I also got their feedback on how the club hop was, and then coordinate with HR to serve as training for new members and be required to join. Personally, on my opinion, I don't like to use the word required, but I would just like to show to them my passion on the club and then just be there for them so that the requirement would turn into voluntary. Because from experience, when you say required, it would really lower some membership interest. But the last point before I end the presentation is strong mentorship. When you are really dedicated to the club and you really love what you're doing, the strong mentorship would follow through with your members, and the members would also feel that the officers really love what they're doing, and I would also like to stay in this club. So by these proposals, and these are the solutions that we have for our case study. By presenting this, we think that the members would now be more active in the club, even though that we are in the Zoom era. So that's it for our case study. Trainer Philip.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jan. And I had really good, you know, discussions with the group because it's very timely and we've got a good mix of Toastmasters in that group. And one of them was also part of HR. So it was very much spot on. It's a really good combination. It's really fun talking to the group. So over to you, Toastmaster DJ.
Okay, thank you, Philip, and thank you, John. So now it's still club coaching. It's a case on club coaching, but from a corporate standpoint, we moved into club coaching, but on a community club standpoint. So for this particular case, we're going to hear from the team of Susit.
Thank you, DJ. My presenter or our group presenter would be Toastmaster Bea.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
My apologies with the camera. I will have to deal with it via audio, but I hope everyone can hear me fine. Okay?
Yes, we can.
All right. So let me try to share my screen so that you can see the case also and some notes from our group presentation. All right. Let me just check. I hope it works. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I'm sorry if everyone's faces are here. This is a screenshot. Okay. Okay. But so this is our case study. I just want to read it first. Okay, so North Pole City Toastmasters Club is a community club based in the Philippines. A number of existing clubs in the city were once sponsored and mentored by its members. But through the years, membership is dwindling. The profile is changing too. Last year, only 8 renewed their membership. All of them live in South Pole City, and they are young professionals and are not yet earning much. Because of the meeting expenses, largely venue and food, they need to shell out every meeting. Members are begging off when asked to take on roles. Currently, it's just the club president and the vice president for education who are regularly showing up. And they are on the verge of giving up already. So they think it's more practical for them to just join South Pole City Toastmasters instead. So, as the division's club growth director or area director, how will you move this forward? And as a club coach, how will you turn the situation around? Okay? Right, so I hope that's clear. So we had a mix of opinions in our presentation, there were two people who stood out as club coaches and one who stood out as the division or area director or division's club growth director. So for us, I think the united stand is to retain the old club. Okay, all of us were moving towards that direction because sayang din naman because it has been there for a while. And for sure, a lot of people have worked to keep it alive. So we were considering the following things. So first is to find out the reason behind the dwindling numbers and why young members fail to attend. So the first consideration is why they're not attending anymore? Why is it suddenly the president and the vice president na lang? And then we wanted to check venue options within the area. Coming from a realistic perspective, venue can be a reason why people get turned off because it's too expensive, it's hard to commute to the area. So given that, is there another option? Can they move to a cheaper venue? Would it be possible to look into the details on how they can still retain? And then check the presence in the vicinity. Social media is now one of the things that we look into, especially now that we're all locked down. So do they have any marketing presence? Are they visible online? Do people know that they exist? So those are considerations as well. And then one good suggestion also is to consider changing the schedule, or instead of a dinner meeting, why not turn it into a merienda meeting, like a merienda cena? So that could probably help in terms of costs. And then, consider the plans of the president and the VP. Coming from the perspective of someone quite new to Toast, sometimes if the VP and the president, actually the people who start the club are super game to keep it alive, I don't think it's an issue if they live from the south, because some people really, really want to build the clubs wherever they are. So the question is, how long do they want to do this? And do they really want to keep the legacy of their club? So if they want to do that, consider a 3 to 6 month plan. What do you guys intend to do? Do you really want to build it up? Is that part of your cost? Or do you totally want to move na to the south? If you want to keep it, then maybe you can encourage them, rally the group, and be their mentor in trying to identify who else they can recruit or to be part to build up the North Club. And then maybe when they're already okay, we teach people to be mentors anyway. So they can also help mentor these people, and then eventually they can move to the south. But that's up to them. So it will really depend on their cause or their motives and their intentions. And then another good suggestion is to consider online meetings. Maybe they want to, temporarily try it out online, at least until it's okay or safe to go out. I think a lot of us are coming from a realistic perspective these days of the online presence. So that could be a possibility. So these are things we look into. We hope they make sense. That's it.
They do.
Mm-hmm. So far, that's it. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bea, and thank you also, Susit, for presenting case number 2. Now, for the first 2 cases, they covered specific on the topic on club coaching. The third case this time will cover the first topic that we have in the afternoon, and that's about individual mentoring. And to present to us the case and the solution that they have is the team of Tisha.
Hello, everyone. To present case study number 3 is the Area Director of Division A, the bubbly Glenda Abad. Take it away, Glenda.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Tish. Now, hello, everybody. I hope I'm coming across loud and clear. If
Yes.
I am, please give me a thumbs up. Oh, yes, thank Thank you very much for responding. Now, do I have the ability to share my screen? Because if I do, I am going to share my screen now. Please give me a few monuments while I load this
Yes.
one up. Okay, now I hope everybody can see my presentation.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. Because my screen is now hanging. This is one of the challenges of being online. But that does not stop us from being an effective member mentor, right? So in
Yes.
our case, with the case number 3, we are dealing with this particular Toastmaster. His name is Joselito Joaquin. He is an advanced communicator gold and a district champion. But lately, all that he wants to do is to do some member roles and be the general evaluator in the club. Also in their club, I think some of the things that they were having issues with is that they only have the remaining old founding members are just 3 and the rest are new members. For now, Toastmaster Joselito has wanted to mentor 2 new members, but he himself have yet to enroll himself in the Pathways program. So Toastmaster Tisha, I hope I have covered everything.
Yes, yes,
In our
perfect.
slide with regards to Toastmaster Joselito. Thank you very much. Now, what did we discuss to help Toastmaster Joselito along in his journey as a Toastmaster? So we proposed 3 things. This is a gist of what we talked about for 25 minutes. Okay. First of all, we want to emphasize on inclusivity and to establish the credibility of Toastmaster Joselito. Toastmasters or always in place, because I think that is what is one of the challenges for our more mature members. Yes, I'm trying to use that. Anyway, moving on. Now, to address this, we suggest that we have a pathways orientation in their club to be headed by a VP for education, or we get someone outside the club who will do the pathways orientation for them, in particular for Toastmaster Joselito. In fact, we would drive or we would motivate him to become a brand ambassador for the pathways programs. So we have that. Also to build his credibility as a mentor, not just the years of experience that he has in Toastmasters, but also to give him that credibility in the new Pathways program. Now, that's what first we emphasize on the inclusivity and for his credibility. And next, we will want to find out his motivation, because for a long time, he's just doing the meeting roles and the general evaluation roles. As you can see, he's an ACG, he's a district champion. So what drives Toastmaster Joselito? Once we figure out what drives him internally, then perhaps we can convert that energy or his enthusiasm for the Toastmasters program from the legacy now to the pathways, and let that energy and enthusiasm cascade to the 2 new members that he wants to mentor. And also, it was suggested in our group that he can also club hop to other clubs online with the 2 new members. And if ever possible, during the pandemic, perhaps 1 or 2, if it's possible to have that real-time meeting right now. So that's for the second one. Now, for the last but not the least, we want to address the issue of internet connection. For this, we want for him to resort to his landline mobile phone to connect with the 2 new members if he is having issues with his internet connection. We also suggest for him to have a huddle session with the 2 new members. I think we can also have, especially for now that the community quarantine is lifted, perhaps 10 people, we can meet up and just have to have that connection with all the new members in the club. So we focus on relationship building. It doesn't have to be internet all the way. We can always resort to the landline and the mobile phone. Overall, my friends, we can make use of Toastmaster Joselito's drive and love for learning here in Toastmasters by emphasizing on these three to address his concerns with regard to the new Pathways program and his two new members that he would like to mentor. I hope I did not go over time. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Oh, you did not. You effectively managed your time.
Thank you.
So that concludes, thank you, Glenda and Tisha. So that concludes our case presentation. And as you can see, I preferred not to make any comment at all because we're going to have our panel discussion afterwards. But before we move into that part of this afternoon's training, I'd like to thank everybody for your participation. I know some of you have prepared PowerPoint presentation because you probably thought that you'd get called and present. And thank you very much for making extra effort to also engage and participate. However, your efforts, even if you don't get to present, are not also put to waste, because we will maximize our learning now that we are moving to the last part of this afternoon's training session, and that's our panel discussion. So our panelists for this afternoon, we have our first speaker, past International Director Elisa. We will have our second speaker, so that's past District Governor JJ, and they will be joined by our district trio. And I'd like to call District 75 Director Nene, Program Quality Director Richard, and Club Growth Director Jazz. So the five of them will be our panel of experts to finally answer the questions that you wished to raise earlier. So who will go first before I'll start asking my questions? I'd like to open the floor this time. In case you wish to raise questions or seek clarification.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, so you are, sorry,
Adam.
Adam. So our first question is from Adam.
Hey, so in terms of the panelists, I would like to ask, because we're starting our mentorship program in our club, and we are a very young club, and this is the first time we are going to implement a mentorship coaching program in our club. So given that we only have a few members and our members are not high level in terms of the Toastmaster, what other qualifications should a member have before becoming a mentor? Or does a member have to reach a certain level in Toastmaster for them to be qualified as mentor of a club?
As International Director Elisa, you might want to comment on Adam's question about members' qualification for him or for her to qualify as a mentor.
First would be interest. Interest to help a fellow member. And for you to, when you have that interest, we say interest because if you are really interested in mentoring a member, you will look for resources that would help you and that will help your mentees. So if you are, even let's just say, since you're a new club, you're just one speech or one level ahead of the other members. But because you have been there a little bit earlier, you have your foot first, you step foot into all the way until, because oftentimes our mentee can surpass us. And that would make us very, very happy. So when they do, you now have another resource that you could tap. So do not limit yourself or do not try to set qualifications that you say, you're just a new member, you cannot be a mentor. You can, because it's our interest to help, it's our availability to help, and it's our, how do you call this, our connections to resources that would be helpful for this new member. So no age or no length of stay in Toastmasters should be a qualifying requirement, because you might be in Toastmasters for a long time, but you have no interest of mentoring a member. Then that will automatically disqualify you as a mentor.
Interest is important. So thank you, PID Elisa, and thank you, Adam. So do we have any questions that we would like our panelists to answer?
Yeah.
JJ,
So-
earlier, I thought some of your team members have questions.
Yes, actually, a while ago, our district admin manager, Cecil, posted a very good question, and I think a lot of people would benefit. So, Cecil, would you like to ask that question for everyone to hear?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Cecil.
Sharing my question a while ago, but actually this session now is an answered prayer because I was asking a while ago, PDG JJ, that what could be other ways to reach out to a club that you have been assigned to as a coach if emails or FB Messenger would not be enough. And I just realized that this training was the bridge to connect to the club that I was assigned to coach, because the officers of Chada Land Bank are here. So answered prayer actually. And yes, but anyway, going back to the question, what other means of reaching out to the club could a club coach do, especially if he or she was assigned to a club where she doesn't know any of the members personally, or there's no rapport yet, no connection, they don't know each other yet? And how could the club coach reach out and be effective? Thank you.
Okay. So just to share how I responded to Toastmaster Cecil, for every club, we have usually the core team members. For every club, there's that one person who acts as the point person for the club. So find out through the grapevine, through your other Toastmaster network, through the area director or the division director, who could be that best person to connect with in that club, so that it would be easier for you as the assigned club coach to also, when you visit the club, you would really know, because there are some clubs, even if they have posted their meeting schedule, lo and behold, the meeting is canceled without anybody else knowing that it's already been canceled. So it would be very wise to find out who could be the best point person that you can reach out to for that particular club. I'm sure somebody knows somebody, whether that person has at least has been a member of that club, or is someone maybe not just, they're just not active, let's say in Facebook or in Messenger, but somebody knows the number, and you can just send a text message to that person who has really great influence to that particular club. So there you go.
Thank you, JJ, and thank you, Cecil. There's a question here, and I think this is for our panelists, or also to past international director Elisa. So this is coming from the questions that were raised by our attendees before they attended the meeting. The question is, at least how many members can a mentor? What's the ideal number?
It would all depend on the time availability of the mentor. Because if you do not have time, then you will be doing a disservice also to accept a role as a mentor. Let's say you're already mentoring one or two persons, and then you are really busy at work or at home. If you accommodate a third or a fourth person just because it was requested by the club, or you feel that it was asked of you, but if you could not provide that time, then you will be doing the mentee a disservice. So recommend somebody else. Talk to somebody else about it. It's like what, if we remember what Sherry Sue mentioned, the first runner-up in the World Speech Championship several years ago. She asked Darren LaCroix to be her mentor, but Darren did not have the time at that point. So he suggested Maureen Sapala. And Maureen took on the role as mentor and coach of Sherry. So if you do not have the time, it would not be a great interaction. It will not end well for the relationship. So maybe you could just step in for, let's say, for one activity. Tell them, I can only have time for you for this week. If you need me to help out for a certain activity or a certain project, I can do it this week. Other than that, I will not have the time. So establish that right from the start, or else you will end up frustrated, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, PID Elisa. There's a question here from Daisy, and her question is, if the club that you are coaching doesn't meet the goal, which is, let's say, the President's Distinguished Club within the time frame, is your coaching counted and earned to become a distinguished Toastmaster? So any of our panelists can comment on this. Yes.
You have 2 years to do that. You have 2 years to do that. And doesn't have to be President's Distinguished. The requirement is for the club to reach distinguished.
Yep.
And you have 2 years to work on that.
Thank you, PID Elisa. There's a question here, and it's still for you. No, I think majority of our question has something to do with mentoring. What can you suggest to bridge the gap between an intense mentor and a shy new member?
You know, I was talking about design earlier. The club will really also have to do the design. And sometimes you have to match mentor-mentees. Like when we do what they do in the board of directors, it's not simply just to pair each of us. The president, the international president, and the execom usually looks at the personalities of the people that are involved and match the mentor and mentees. Even during international trainings of district leaders, the trios, when they do meet face to face, the sitting and the arrangement at the tables and which district you are paired with is something that is planned, because they are taking that into consideration. So it's not simply a matter of saying, oh, ikaw, you will be the mentor of this person. You have to look at the personality of the people that are involved.
Yes, I would like to add to what BID Elisa mentioned. It is a practice in one of my clubs wherein at the onset, we really give all the new members a survey form so that we would already know what is the goal of that member and their background. So just to cite the recent one, a very new member, she is an educator. And then she said she wanted to focus on her communication skills. And then we looked at the profile on what she answered. So it also answers like she wants to focus on speech writing and so on and so forth. And so we have 3 educators in the club. So I'm part of the committee who handles all of the new members as well. And so they asked me, so who could we recommend for this new member? So I said, well, she's an educator and she wants to focus first on her communication skills. So I said, there are 3 educators, the current president, the vice president for education, and the shadow of the VP education is also an educator. So I said, since the other one is still new, so it's really a toss between both of you. And so without me really saying, no, you do this or you do that, being one of the elders in that club, one of them said, one step forward said, oh, I also am an educator and I'm also interested in helping out this person since, well, we have the same background. So at that onset, it was now clear on who would be willing and able and matching, as PID Elisa said, for that very new member to also address the goals of that new member. That's why before you match, it's good if you really know the profile and have that survey form, new member survey form. It really helps.
Thank you, Gov JJ. There's another interesting question here coming from our attendees. The question is, what are your suggestions to restart a struggling execom team of a struggling club? So the question again is, what are your suggestions to restart a struggling execom team of a struggling club?
Okay. So just like the case of there's a member interest survey, remember we have area directors who also get to visit the club, and we have club officers training. So at the club officers training, normally there's already been a discussion like in the last COT that we had for their club success plan. So if it's already a struggling club, but DJ, has a coach been assigned or not yet?
It seems like there's none. Yeah.
There's none yet.
None
So
yet.
given from the output of the club based on, let's say, the last COT, then the area director or even the division director would be able to know. So let's say if there's a club coach that's going to be assigned, help us also the club coach talk to the existing officers and whoever is, let's say there's a member that's very much involved in that club as well, even if that person is not an officer. I always believe that in every club there are so-called core team members. They might not be the current officers, but they've been in the club and they have been a strong influence in that club as well. So if we have all of the core team members, so to speak, help out together with the officers, then it can be a very good springboard to help that struggling club, because there are several reasons why a club is struggling. You have to do like a root cause analysis and find out what is really the struggle of that particular club. Is it the people involved? Is it just the logistics? Is it just time? Okay, is it finances? Is it the venue? So you have to find out. And then from there, you can derive the answer. So it's not just the officers, it's not just the division leaders or district leaders, among the members as well.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
that
to
Leo.
yeah, and to add to that, since Gov JJ mentioned about the assessment or of the root cause, we have a very good tool in Toastmasters, the moments of truth, for the assessment, and that's the recommended tool to use for club coach or area directors, and from there the club will be able to assess what the real problems are, the concerns that need to be addressed. I think that's a very good starting point for that struggling club.
And speaking of moments of truth, thank you, Jazz and Gov JJ. No, and then speaking of moments of truth, there's an interesting question that I have here. No, this is the proof, and it's quite controversial. So I think this question was raised on a context of lesson learned. I think, no, because here's how the question go: if a club was chartered properly, why would it need a club coach within a year from chartering?
Okay. DJ, was it mentioned what type of club it is? Is it a corporate or exclusive club, or is it a community club? Because
no mention.
Wala.
But maybe
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Let's say it's a corporate club. Okay. So normally corporate clubs, now it depends if management has full support or not. It's good if they have and company is paying for the membership of the club. Okay. So if you just look at the membership number, it might be a lot. Okay. Now there are also instances, specifically what happened this year, even if there were a lot of clubs formed, a lot of companies really went through downsizing. And so the number one that goes or thrown out the window would be the items that would add cost to a company, and that includes training and also having a Toastmasters club if company pays for it, and even some people losing their jobs. Okay. Now if it is a community club, so that can be a reason for corporate clubs to suddenly be a struggling or they lose a lot of members. Now for community clubs, it's quite different as well in terms of how the community club was formed. Because truth be told, a lot of people and would have priorities. So even for community clubs, there's attrition that happens. Probably they have reached their goal. They were able to reach the pathways level that they want to achieve. They were able to gain the confidence. They got promoted. So probably left for another country, change jobs, change location, change status in life. So Toastmasters is not a priority anymore. That's why for every club, whether new or existing, it is always important to add new blood or add new members, because there are people who just love to be in Toastmasters. There are people who suddenly have other priorities and it's not Toastmasters. So having a continuous member or new members in the club would really help the club maintain its active status. So again, we can't just say that it's because if it was chartered correctly, okay? Because there are other factors involved. Probably when the club is, having its meetings, personalities also arise in the club, and suddenly there's conflict as well. So every club has its own story to tell. Any other ideas? Where's the trio? Where's Richard? Where's Nene?
Richard?
That's true. What I would like to reinforce what Katrina JJ has mentioned, because we had a club before, and it was really, it took time to become a club until, and initially management paid for the dues. The following year, management decided that they will just advance it and then they will have to repay or deduct it from their salary. And the members decided we don't want to do it. We don't want it. We don't want Toastmasters if we have to pay for it. So then it became a struggle to try to push through with the club, to continue with the club, because we only have a few members willing to pay for their own dues. In fact, there were a lot of problems that followed when the people were retiring from the university, and the dues that was given or paid for their Toastmasters was being deducted from their retirement benefit. So it became a big problem. So those are cases that could happen, issues that could happen. So many issues. So if, let's say, for maybe to the person who posted that question, maybe a bit more specific, we can try to find out what happened.
I think this one is more specific. So this one is coming from the chat, no, but it's a private chat, so it's only me who can view it. The question is, what action plan did you do to better? So this is more of experiential. What action plan did you do to better engage your inactive members? Did you ask them directly if they no longer want to become a member? I just think that sponsoring those inactive is not reasonable at all.
Can I answer that? Being a member of really old clubs like Molave, it's a 41-year-old club. Butter and Toast is, I think, one Chinese horoscope old club. I think 12 years old, and then being a charter president of a very new club, that's Setsi and Friends Toastmasters Club. So going back to that question, in the case of my very old club, what we always do is we just keep inviting even old members, especially when we have anniversaries or Christmas parties. So it's no pressure. We're just letting them know we're still here. If you're free, join us. And truth be told, we have a member who kept coming back every 10 years because again of personal reasons, job location change, or there's new thing that happened in the family, got married, and actually because of the pandemic now, we have more old members coming back because now they find it easier. No traffic, they'll just have to log in and attend our Zoom meetings. So it can work both ways. Again, we don't pressure them. They know that the club is still exists. They also invite other people to be members of the club. Now the other one, the last one, paying, what's that, DJ? The last sentence, paying
Yeah,
inactive,
is it reasonable sponsoring those inactive? No, sponsoring.
sponsoring. So they're like paper club members.
Sounds like.
Yes. So that's so sad. Remember, in Toastmasters, it's experiential. And there might be challenges for these members. That's why they're inactive, so to speak, especially when we shifted to pathways. It's a struggle for old timers. It's so easy to open a manual and deliver a speech. It's so challenging to log in the base camp and navigate and find out for yourself and then navigate again to do your assessment. Maybe it would help to assign a mentor for these inactive members. Maybe they just need a little nudge or help. Find out what help do you need. If the club has a progress chart of the members, then it's easier to help these so-called inactive members.
Yep. So to add to that, I think it's very important that you are aware of the reason why they are inactive. So it's very important to connect, to reach out to these members, the officers or members who are close to those inactive members, to check with them why they are inactive. And then based on the reason that they'll provide, then you address them accordingly. And based on what GovJJ said, always keep them in the loop. Still invite them because who knows, they just need to be reminded, or they're just very busy to come back, and when they're available, then they will come back. And if it's a corporate club with sponsoring inactive members, I think it's very important that at the start you set the expectation or certain metrics that the members need to meet as members of the club, especially if they are being sponsored, like monthly attendance, delivering of speeches. I think some of the corporate clubs are doing that. So if ever during come the renewal period, if they're not meeting those metrics or expectations, then the company may no longer renew these members, because at the onset they've aligned expectations that these are your obligations as members.
So I think we have already we're already at the last part of our time limitation as far as the training is concerned. So I would rather now move forward by asking the rest of our panelists for comments, or if they have a parting shot now to further inspire our division club growth directors, our vice president for membership, and the pool of mentors and coaches that we have in District 75 in this room this afternoon. So I'd like to start with Program Quality Director Richard. Do you have anything inspiring to share to our mentors and leaders and coaches in this room today?
Yes, thank you, DJ.
So I've always been a believer of the Filipino saying that says, pag gusto, may paraan. Pag ayaw,
Ayaw may dahilan.
may dahilan. And that is true in Toastmasters in many ways, whether it's a corporate club or whether it's a community club. Because I have witnessed a lot of corporate club who went out of their way, even without management support, to pay their own dues just because they love Toastmasters. As well as there are a lot of corporate clubs also that I encountered, even though management wants to pay for them, but they themselves chose not to renew and told management they don't want to continue anymore because they were not in love with their Toastmasters experience. So I guess the challenge to all of our officers, district leaders, club coaches is to make sure that you help this club develop a environment wherein they're having fun, they're building relationships with each other, they're enjoying the Toastmasters journey so that they won't see it as an additional burden, they won't see it as something that is part of their work. Instead, they will see Toastmasters to what it is. And it is an environment where we can grow, environment where we can challenge ourselves, learn few skills in communication and leadership while having so much fun. For me, I've been a member for 10 years and counting now because I always go back to my Toastmasters club every time I have a busy day or a stressful day at work. Going to my home club is fun and it's like a distressor for me. That should how we want to coach our clubs. When it's gonna be fun for everyone, whether supported or not, they will find a way. We just need to develop that love. Back to you, DJ.
Thank you, PQD Richard. Gov JJ, any inspiring or parting words for our attendees this afternoon?
Oh, I just want to say I did the wheel of names if I'm gonna raffle off the one that I did earlier.
Okay.
Promise is a promise.
Okay.
Sige, spin ko na ha. And then later I'll
Yes.
show you the winner. So while it's spinning, of course, I would like to encourage everyone to try to at least mentor and help other clubs. Okay? In their Toastmasters journey. Okay, so we have a winner. It's from, I think, El Presidente. Mew Walim. Makikita ba?
Yeah, hindi.
Hindi.
Kamay mo lang.
Kamay ko lang. Ano ba to? Ano nga natin. Tanggalin ko na nga. Makikita niyo yung ano ko. Yan. There she is.
Yes.
There she is. Congratulations, Mew Walim.
Congratulations.
Oh, there you go. I like
There
this
you
new
go.
technology. I'm actually just playing with Kahoots to practice, and I'm practicing this wheel of names. We always learn something new.
Yes. And speaking of learning something new, past international director Elisa, do you have any last words for our participants this afternoon?
Last. I would like to encourage everybody to venture on the mentoring journey. As they say, it's a selfless act. It's also a selfish act because we also learn when we become mentors. We learn to be more patient. We learn to be more resilient. We learn how to reach out and open up our capabilities of learning and capabilities of teaching people and reaching out to people. So venture, try out that path if you have not been a mentor. I would like to ask also the clubs to design a formal mentor program within the club because that is where we all start in the club and that will be our home base. So if the people within the clubs would find their stay in Toastmasters well worth their time, it's because we have done a good job in the club. So it is there where we develop our future speakers, our future contestants, and our future leaders in the club. And you might have a hand in developing that person to reach their full potential. So give mentoring a try. Go for it.
Thank you, PID Elisa. So, Jazz, because you're supposed to also give us your inspiring message, no, to all the leaders and the mentors and the division club growth directors that are in the room this afternoon. Do you have any words for them? And that will also serve as our closing statement for the afternoon.
Thank you, DJ. So I'd like to end with the words of Theodore Roosevelt. He said that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So as club mentors and coaches, there should be a sincere intent to help fellow Toastmasters and the clubs that you're coaching, not only because you need the appointment or you need that for a norm or for an award. So to be able to show that you care for your protege, the clubs, you should be available when they need you. So there's an alignment of expectations in terms of when you'll be meeting with them, and also always actively listen to what they really need, what their concerns are, and from there you'll be able to address them accordingly. So I hope you get to learn and share what you have learned from this afternoon session. If you want to be club coaches, we have a lot of opportunities in District 75 because we have roughly 55 clubs needing club coaches. So that means 55 clubs would have 12 and below club members. So just let me know. I can connect you to the club, to the area directors, division directors, if you're interested. And at this point, I'd like to thank the training team for a wonderful job in organizing this session, particularly to DJ leading and of course to Nomel, our district trainer, for organizing this event. And thank you everyone for your active participation. And I hope that you get to have a relaxing, refreshing weekend, long weekend. So with that, good, thank you, and back to you, DJ.
Okay, thank you, Jazz, and thank you everyone for your engagement and participation. I think if we are to summarize all that we learned this afternoon, for us to be effective club coaches and individual mentors, it boils down to care. It matters that we care. So once again, my name is DJ. I'm your Toastmaster of the day. And don't forget to submit your evaluation so that we would also be here. We would be able to hear your thoughts about what were the strengths and also how we can improve our services better. So have a pleasant afternoon and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
DJ, photo op.
Photo op. Yes, sige. Is Christmas still here? Christmas?
Who is Christmas?
Christmas is our PR team.
She was driving earlier eh.
Oh.
Is she okay?
Sige, so I think
photos.
Yeah, who will sige, okay.
All right, so I have perhaps 3 pages, so just smile until I'm done. All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, I'm going to the second page. Right, 1, 2, 3, smile. Pasensya na po ha, medyo mahina ang... Alright, this will be the last page. Alright, everyone. 1, 2, 3, smile. Alright. Can I do the first page again? Last lang. One last.
Okay.
OC lang, sorry.
How do we know?
Um, I'm not so sure, but anyways, just smile. 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, we're done. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Stay
Thank
safe,
you,
everyone.
PID Elisa and to Bob
Congratulations,
DJ
DJ.
for the insights.
Thank you po. Thank you for the learnings. God bless po.
Take care, everyone.
Have a long
Thank
weekend.
you, Love Elisa.
Yes, have a good long weekend. Enjoy.
Long weekend. Ano yan?
The weekend is going to disappear in the next few hours.